Hello and welcome to the Trading Post podcast, where we unlock the secrets of business-to-business trade, dive into powerful networking strategies, and share my exciting journey of using a podcast to market my business instead of relying on SEO. I'm your host, Trader Stu. Holy smokes, it is Tuesday already. Welcome back to the Trading Post. I am Trader Stu. I thought it was Monday today. I had to go to the funeral yesterday, so I'm all thrown off, and I thought today was Monday. So I apologize for the late upload. If you didn't listen to it on the way to work, I'm sorry. So here we are. I'll get this uploaded as soon as I can. Of course, minimal editing, as I always do. That's one of the actually turnoffs I found with YouTube with me lately is the over editing. So anyway. This episode is sponsored by the Michigan Renaissance Festival, and I cannot wait until they give me that schedule, what the new things are coming up this year. Last year I went, did you ever go to Chocolate Week? Have you ever gone to Chocolate or Chocolate Weekend? I forgot what they call it, Cocoa Weekend? Anyway, all the vendors there, if you go to the back of the park, they're all set up with, of course, desserts and chocolates, and it's like food trucks, but chocolate based. So it's kind of like Willy Wonka went to the Michigan Renaissance Festival and opened up shop, to get to try all the different flavors and, sights and smells. And it smells awesome. Of course, you go back there, even though it's outside, it just smells like a chocolate factory. So, I hope they do that again this year. And I'm looking forward to it. And, of course, you got to get your turkey leg while you're there and a beer. But, the Cocoa Festival or Chocolate Weekends, I think it was Sweet Dreams or Sweet Weekends. I don't remember. But it was fun and delicious all at the same time. And now that we're kind of cleared from the, 2020 issues that they were issuing rain checks out for, and it was crazy when they reopened. It shouldn't be nearly as busy as it was for when I came. The last time I was there was when they allowed everyone from COVID the last 2 years to come in, plus that year. So it was crazy. And I remember, I think I told you the story last week. I got to mess with all the cars as I walked in and had just a ton of fun doing that. And my best Captain Jack Sparrow attire and attitude and charisma that I could bring forth to the Michigan Renaissance Festival. But I've been there before that, and it wasn't that crazy. I had a park down the road on a dirt road, and now I think they expanded their parking lots. So if you're avoiding going because maybe you had that experience, go again. And I'll be there, and they're gonna actually invite me to the VIP media night before they open, so I'll especially be able to get front row parking. But I like the parking lot situation. I don't know. To me, it's a part of the adventure, part of the fun, and like I said, the walk in. If you go on the left side of the park, there is the parking lot. There's a cool little trail. Then there's a little bridge. You go through the woods. They do a really good job there and making kind of everything part like of the adventure. So definitely show up, check it out if you haven't yet already. It's fun for all ages. My stepson dressed up as Darth Vader one year. He's 9, so he was what were we there? 2025, so he was 5 or 6 years old, and he still talks about it. So we're going to go again this year, obviously again. And we just had a baby, so I probably wouldn't bring. I don't know. I've seen strollers there, but to me, I just don't want to deal with that with my kid to the strollers. But I see them there, and people with kids on backpacks and all that stuff because it's fun. And then it's later in the summer or in the fall, so it gets cooler, so the kids, don't overheat. I guess you could say so. But I'm excited for it this year. You check it out. All right, so real quick. I wanted to talk about, everyone's talking about side jobs lately because the, job search is kind of tough. I know some people that are getting laid off. I myself was one of them, got laid off last year, 6 months after my son was born. But, I got lucky, of course, with the VA. So they helped me out. And if people are having issues, there are resources out there for veterans. I'm not sure what people are talking about, but they pulled through for me. I don't know, maybe I talked to the right people or I got a good place around here. But anyway, they got me through a really tough time. And but yeah, anyway, if you know people in the military, have them check out their local area resource center and get them through whatever's going on. But everyone's talking about side jobs or side come money, and I wanted to talk real quick about gardening. So, with everything coming up, tariffs talks and fruits and vegetables are getting more expensive. And here's the thing with that. So, we do a lot of frozen fruit in my family because my wife makes smoothies for the kids daily. Like literally, I'm talking about daily. We just bought like a $600 blender because she smoked two of them. My parents gave us one from, I think, their wedding. It was like a 1970s or 80s models, and she used it for a couple months and then smoked it. Like it got acrid smelling. The motor burned out. And then before that, went through another one. Anyway, I digress. So what I'm getting at is that everything's more expensive. And we built a garden, tried it. Then my son was born. We let it go back to nature because, priorities. I don't know how people do it. I don't know how people do it, man. With the kids and the garden, and you got maybe a dog or two, and then you got the house, and then a job or two. And it's a lot, man, right? So you're constantly going at it. And my whole idea behind this to do a side hustle with gardening would be to not take me away or my wife away from the home and have daycare raise the kids, right? So, and I'm not saying like you're making a lot of money here. I'm just saying, a bit of your money here and there, I don't think it's like something that you're going to quit a job over and they're going to, full time it. But you might as well my thing is, if you're going to do something, why not a little bit of side come money from it? Not saying it's going to, make or break or now you're going to get ahead. It's not about that with me. It's about just kind of like the hobby paying for itself. I saw a really cool YouTube video. God, it must have been a year or two ago, and I can't find it again. I think I think the algorithm or YouTube or like they, quote unquote, they took it down because it made a lot of sense. And I'll quickly kind of go over it. And that's how property used to be a source of income for people. And now property is a source of debt for people. Now, I'm not talking about if you're flipping real estate or, you're buying and selling houses and maybe not even within the year. I'm just saying buy a house, sell it 3 or 5 years later, and hopefully you break even by the time you put all the upgrades in it and you kind of live rent free. And that's the other thing too. People are like, oh, you should put a new kitchen in. You get money back when you sell the house. No, you won't. You'll get maybe 50% of the value, I think they say, for bathrooms and kitchens when you upgrade. You might get half of that back, So I think that houses are, for me, I had bad experiences. I'm on my fourth house and I've lost money on 2 of them, made money on 1, and I'm in 1 now. So I'm not really, I don't have a good warm and fuzzy for houses and real estate. I say they're a debt. I think they're not a novelty. What do you call it? Like a nice to have. Don't get me wrong. My apartment that I was in before was crazy expensive and it was unnecessary. I think it was like $17.50 a month, and it didn't pay for any of the water, gas, heat, none of that, right? So it was like $2,000 a month to live in this apartment. And then, of course, my mortgage is substantially cheaper than that. But here's the other problem. Now you're doing upgrades. I had to put a new roof on it, new gutters, the driveway. Luckily, my wife and I broke up the concrete on one patch and poured our own concrete. You got to be able to do things yourself in these houses. Otherwise, they're going to eat you literally out of house and home. So that's to my point, is that I think they're a debt until hopefully one day you break even and you're able to sell it and get your money back on whatever you put into it. Because otherwise, if you're in an apartment, you're kind of throwing away, let's just say $2,000 a month. You never get that back. That's $24,000 a year. That's a lot of money that you'll never get back. So, in a house, to lose $24,000, I mean, you have to be basically a short sale or total market collapse like in '08. Which, hey, guess what? I was part of that crew too. I had a short sale in my house. I bought it, I think, in '06 in Jersey, in the military. I figured I wasn't going to be there long. I would just be in and out within 2 or 3 years. And guess what? 2 years later, I don't think, year and a half later, '08 crisis or '07, whatever it was, everything fell apart, right? So yeah. Anyway, this guy was talking about, nowadays we have concrete or blacktop driveways. This is back to the YouTube video, by the way, that are expensive. And before, they were just dirt or gravel or just grass, and they didn't cost you any money. They were just kind of there. Now, my driveway costs me money, right? The tree roots are lifting some of the slabs, and it's coming uneven. I had to break up a slab because it was very dangerous, trip hazard. I had to crack it out before trick-or-treating last year, because the year before that, a kid or two tripped on the unevenness of it. So I took care of that, and it cost me concrete and a sledgehammer, but and then what else was he talking about? Oh, grass. Grass is a huge deficit. I mean, I'm not going to say huge, I guess. It could be. Like, I live in a neighborhood where a lot of neighbors take care of their lawns, and they have a lot of yard maintenance crews come out. They all pay for the yard crew, and I got a quote, and I think it was $45 a week for them to, be under contract for the summer. And that paid for 2 edgings a year and a weekly mowing. And then you have to pay, a lot of people fertilize, and then they put herbicides down and pesticides, and, you're in the lawnmower and you got gas. But before, your yard was your garden or part of the field. You just kind of like surrounded yourself. I grew up in the middle of cornfields up in Frankenmuth. I had a cornfield one year, and then a soybean one year, and then a sugar beet one year. They rotate the crops, right? So everything every 3 years was corn or something like that. But, and not saying that I was the farmer, but I'm just saying our yard was surrounded by this. We could have been back in the day farmers, right? So then that's how you would have lived. No, we had a yard and property. My stepdad had a mower, and my dad has a mower, back then too, whatever, like rider. But, again, now riding lawnmowers are thousands of dollars, are paying for the maintenance, oil, and gas. But again, I got to digress on all of that, because we could just go, crazy with grass. And then, what else was it? Oh, the garage parks our car now. We're so bougie that our cars have a home, like a shelter, which is, if you think about it, just think about it. That's crazy. I mean, it is. So I get it, like, if it's raining or snowing, but then my thing with that always is like, what are you going to do once you get to wherever you're going? Unless, like, I work in a building that has a parking garage, and to be fair, not many people use it, because I think it's $50 or $100 a month to pay the landlord to be able to park your car underground. So no one does it, because, I don't know, we all live in Michigan, man. We're used to it. Oh, what? So it snowed. You got to scrape your windows off. Oh, poo-hoo, But again, what are you going to do when you go to the grocery store? It's snowing. You come out. You got to wipe your windows down anyways. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of things that just don't make any sense with how much things cost and money and what we spend our money on, to me anyway. And then he went on to say something else about something that costs us money, or used to make us money, but now it costs us money, and the whole yard thing. And I was just like into it, because I absolutely loathe yard work. I hate it, dude. And it's so, it takes time away from the kids, or, the family time, or you got to stay home because you got to mow the lawn while the kids go to soccer practice. I don't know. And I had to do that one week, and I was just like, this is stupid. So I'm not paying nobody to do it. So, and we had a 2-bedroom apartment.
All right, you marketing leaders, strap in for a wild ride to the neon-drenched psychedelic landscape of 21st century advertising. We're about to dive headfirst into the exciting realm of Get Prepped, a video game that's not just a game, but a revolutionary way to market your products to the masses. Picture this. You're sitting in your living room, eyes wide with wonder, when suddenly you're transported into a virtual world where the lines between reality and fantasy blur like a dolly painting in a microwave. This, my friends, is Get Prepped. And it's about to turn the advertising world on its head. Get Prepped is here to help. Forget everything you know about advertising. This isn't your grandfather's Madison Avenue approach. This is the future, and it's as breathtaking and thrilling as a sunset over Las Vegas. Imagine your product right there in the hands of your potential customers. No ad blockers, no skip buttons, just pure, unadulterated exposure. It's like delivering your message directly to the consumer's heart. And the reach? My God, the reach. We're talking about an industry 3 times the size of movies and music combined. It's a behemoth, a leviathan of capitalism that makes YouTube look like a public access channel in BFE. But here's the kicker. The amazing opportunity that'll have you smiling all the way to success. It's affordable, cheaper than many traditional marketing methods. For the price of a year's worth of SEO snake oil, you can have your product showcased across the virtual wonderland for eternity. So listen up, you innovative thinkers. The world is changing. If you don't change with it, you'll be left behind, a relic of a bygone era, like phone books or human decency. Get Prepped isn't just a game. It's a ticket to future of advertising. The wave of the future is coming, and it's either ride it or be crushed beneath it. The choice, you visionary leaders, is yours.
And then by the time, my other son came around, it would have been way too small for us. So we had to get something different. And, but anyway, then, one day the kids will play outside and whatever you think, right? I mean, I'm going to buy a play structure, but maybe they will, maybe they won't play on it. I don't know. The thing is, we live in an area that has tons of city paid for, tax dollar paid for parks that are awesome. And there's other kids there to play with. So I don't know, maybe they'll play in the back, or maybe kids will come by and play with the kids, and we'll have the cool house where the kids won't be gone. The kids will be over at our house, and you keep an eye on them. And that brings me to the other point of my idea for generating a little side come while you're growing your own food. You're out in the backyard anyway. The kids want to be outside, and you're like, so I don't know, what do you do? Sit in a chair and scroll through TikTok or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, no, be productive or do something. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I have a garden, and while the kids are outside, I'll kind of watch them in the corner of my eye while I'm out there, and they're doing their thing, and I'm doing mine, and maybe they help, maybe they won't. And then that way we're growing our own food and selling the excess. And then you also got to check with your local ordinance. So we used to grow microgreens in the basement, and we sold them at farmers market and markets. We were in 2 or 3 of them. And, you dedicate a Saturday and or a Sunday to doing this. And at the time, my wife really enjoyed it. She met a friend, actually, they still talk and they still hang out from the farmer's market, who was also, coincidentally, the other microgreens grower at the same market. So, they should have been competitors and they called each other's frenemies. But, since we pulled out of it and we're done with it, they still talk. And she did other things too. She has honey and eggs and whatever. But the microgreens was a lot of work. So I put thousands of dollars into this hobby, right? So every morning you got to water the microgreens. Every evening you got to water the microgreens. And that takes about a half hour probably total, maybe, right? Each time. You're like, oh, that's not so bad. A half hour in the morning, half hour in the afternoon. Yeah, but that adds up. And now the night before you go to market, you got to cut them, put them in the containers, label them. You got to put your stickers on there to be legal in Michigan. So you're in the up and up. And it's kind of like cottage food law, but a little bit, I think it's the same thing, actually. I can't remember. It's been so long since we did this. But what we found out was by the time you add up the hour a day, that's 5 hours a week, plus another hour or 2 the night before. So that's 7 hours. And then you got 8 hours at the market, because I had to be there at 7 to set up, and then it was 8 to 2, shut down by 3. So you're there from 7 to 3, man. So you got to factor all that hours in, and then by the time you make your money, you're negative. You're just negative, dude. I don't know how people do it. So what we figured out is you got to sell microgreens by the flats to chefs at restaurants. That's the only way, with no cutting. You just grow it, deliver it, get your money and go. That's the only way, because you're not spending hours at a market and you're not cutting them and weighing them or whatever you were doing. So that's how you got to make money in microgreens. I don't know how these people on YouTube talk about making 10 grand a month doing microgreens, man. That's a lot. And just a ton of work. Of course, you got to have employees at that point in time, I guess. But man, I tell you, so she was going to grow, what was it? Something else. Oh, bake bread and then put up like a farmer stand in her front yard, right? Now, we're not in an HOA. We're in a township. But you can't just do that. So we found out that even if it's on wheels, it can't be out in the front yard. Like you can't sell stuff out of your yard or something like that. But the loophole was, they told us, but you can do it off of your porch. So, we have the covered porch. So if we set up like a shelving system or whatever, shelves out there, kind of like the mobile or like a garden cart, what do you call them? A roadside veggie stand, but it's not roadside, it's in their porch. So you're not getting people that are just going to be able to drive by and see it and stop. You got to know about it. So then I just happened to be at the Oakland Thrive, and a guy I don't know how we got talking about this, but he said somebody up in Flint or Grand Blanc area does a cut and come again concept with her garden, where she talks to, I don't know how many chefs, and handful, whatever, doesn't matter. And she charges by the pound. And the chefs come out, they cut the lettuce. She teaches them how to do it the first time. And that way they don't kill the plant, I guess. And then they cut what they want. She has a scale, they weigh it. And then she has like a box, what do you call it? A honor box, or, where you just put cash in it. And yeah, that's how she does it. So she don't cut, harvest, stock, it's all fresh. So everyone wins. She wins by saving just a ton of time. She's not going to farmers markets. She's not spending, 16 hours a weekend, which you're done. You're not doing, and then you can't not go. What happens if you want to go camping, or, you want to go up north, or the family wants to come over and visit? You're gone from the morning until the afternoon. You've been out in the sun all day. You're exhausted when you get home. You got to unpack and whatever. And then what? You're going to visit with family or whatever and friends? You're not. You're smoked. You're done. You don't want to do nothing, right? So no more markets for her. The chefs are happy because they get the absolute freshest produce that money can buy, literally, because they're going out there and cutting it themselves. And they're not paying for produce that's garbage. Because a lot of these top tier chefs, I live in Metro Detroit, we have some nice restaurants around here, right? And they use only like the best, highest quality ingredients, of course. And you know how when you buy strawberries, the bottom ones are mushy, or, you get lettuce and you got brown spots or nibbles here and there. They are only cutting what they want. So they're paying for all of it's good. They're not getting a crate. I was a pantry chef. I used to be this guy. So our family owned a restaurant in Frankenmuth called Harry's Bistro, and before that, the Blue Dolphin. And I was the salads and the dessert guy. And so I went through the box of these. It was the first time I ever had, like, those flower salads? It's like a spring mix, I think they call it, and it looks like you're eating roses. You're eating like really fancy like bib lettuce or whatever, and this other kind of, not iceberg, you know what I mean? And then you got like, there's purples and reds and orange and all kinds of cool different colors, and this looks like you're eating a bouquet. And you think, these restaurants are getting top tier lettuce, that must all be good and delicious. No, it's not. I had to go through that. Every box, every crate, it came in like an orange box, whatever, like the orange for oranges, in a rectangle, and with a wrap around it, like plastic wrap, and like a garbage bag, I guess you could say. And you'd open this thing up, and sometimes the lettuce was all bad. It was all slimy or black or moldy or mildewy. You threw the whole thing away, man. You're not going to, some of it was unsalvageable. Now, some of it, the top was fine until you got to the bottom. But, you had to go through and hand sort it and then rinse it and all that stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, you're going to rinse the lettuce anyways. But the fact of the matter is, there was no time saving, I had to go through everything anyway, manually, and make sure only the best got to the plate. So, it's all I'm saying is I love the idea. I guess is what I'm going for here. Because, but here's the problem. So for me, I'm pretty jacked up. Like I need to find a way that's easy on the rig, right? So my shoulder, back, neck, uh, feet, knees, right? Like so, I'm in my mid 40s and been through the rigors of the military and have the label to show for it. And so the whole idea was when we put this garden in 2 years ago, we did a raised bed with a bunch of cinder blocks. So every day on the way home from work, I'd stop by Lowe's and I'd pick up, I think it was like 4 or 6 cinder blocks because that's all my Jeep could hold and that's all I could that's all I really wanted to deal with. So I would just slowly build the wall up and I think it's 3 or 4 cinder blocks high. So, and I did well. It's a hugelkultur style raised bed, right? So it's not like, was it 3 foot? I think it is tall with just cinder blocks. And it's not just full of dirt. Like oh my God, it'd be so much dirt. So I threw a bunch of old logs in there that were, rotten, branches on the side of the road, um, whatever, right? I just filled this thing. Oh, leaves, tons of leaves. That was so fun and cool and easy. Remember, I don't know about you guys, but when I get leaves in my yard, it's leaves in my yard, dude. I'm mulching it. I am putting it in the bins and there's multiple weeks with multiple, you know, 10 or 12 bins per week going out to the road. It's total waste. I'm like, man, what a waste. I wish we could use this. Like, I really wish I could compress that and turn it into logs or something like that. Again, here we are, more work. I know, more labor. But anyway, what I was going for here was I just put it in this pit with all the logs on it, and I just layered this thing full of leaves and wood, and so the soil is super awesome in this raised hugelkultur bed. I even did a YouTube video on it, and I since then took it all down because I was just like it got away from me. It got to be a lot more work than I thought. I thought that with a raised bed, there wouldn't be so many of the issues that you get when you're in the ground. Nope, woodchucks find it, the birds find it, the weeds find it, the grass finds it. It's still a pain. It's still a lot of work, and I don't really enjoy it. I really don't like yard work, but here I am trying to garden, I guess. And that's only because, you know, it's kind of like, I don't want to say self-sufficiency. I hate that word. People have no idea what it takes when they can't order stuff anymore to be self-sufficient, right? So like we were raising rabbits and, I was going through pounds of feed, like all these bags. And remember when the railroad went on strike? Well, I had to source different food because the rabbit food that we were getting from wherever, California, West Coast or whatever, was no longer available to come out here to Michigan because they went on strike. They shut down. So I had to get something else, which whatever. But all I'm saying was minor, slight little hiccup, but big deal because rabbits, they eat, right? So you can't just like feed them grass from the yard, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So self-sufficiency, no, but can it help maybe alleviate some of the budget? I guess, because, or the food and transportation system, right? I think we're going to get back to this again. I call it my victory garden in the backyard because I was trying to mimic what they were doing back in the day on a smaller scale to try and see if we could do it first. And we did grow corn and beans and pumpkins, but woodchucks got in the pumpkins. And, so, and the birds, I got to paint these rocks red, I guess, and make them look like strawberries. So anyway, all I'm saying is that, we're going to try something like that with the gardening again on the small scale and easy on the rig. So I'm going to bend over. That's why I got the raised bed is what I was getting at with that one, to make it easier on all the, joints and things of that nature. So you can just stand up and just walk around and do it. And then the other thing I wanted to do was the aquaculture, it's like hydroponics, but with fish. And then that opens up a whole different can of worms too. But now you got all these raised beds that you just got to fill with water and not hugelkultur or dirt because it's just water. So, you got that aspect of it. If you're growing lettuce, which is the best way to turn a profit from what I've read and found out, and what chefs most desire, because lettuce is what goes bad the quickest. So that's what you're going to get, not corn or beans, right? So the chefs want microgreens, lettuce, and things like that. So trying to turn a profit, if anybody's ever done this, by the way, I'd like to know, because it seems like, I know you're not going to make, I think I read you can make maybe 10 grand a year, in Michigan. And hey, 10 grand that might pay for your whole aquaculture setup the first year, maybe. I don't really see myself making 10 grand, but that's a pretty big setup, I think. And it wouldn't be this year, that's for sure, because the kids, my littlest one can't really play outside unmonitored yet. So maybe next year, maybe I start setting up for it. So what I was getting at with this, the whole thing was people asking about, trading and bartering. And this is, if things are getting tough, they say that during the Great Depression, the farmers didn't really feel it that bad. It was all the city folks that felt the Great Depression, right? Because they were the ones with these jobs that were kind of given to them. But when you're a farmer, they still ate. They ate the pigs and the cows, and, they had the veggies. So not saying I'm city boy and not saying I'm a country, I'm suburbs. So I'm not an urban prepper, if you want to call it that. I'm suburban, which is pretty decent. I got a third of an acre. So if I could just get my money back on the investment and maybe the power, that's the other thing. If the grid goes down, what do you do with the aquaculture setup? It just seems like a lot of work. It's very overwhelming. And I just thought about this because I was talking to a guy at church the other day. They have a garden there, community garden, and they need volunteers for it. And I'm like, man, I can't even get mine going, let alone, that. And then we just struck up conversation, and I was like, man, it'd be so cool to earn an income. And I could talk to the guy about the cut and come again. I'm like, oh, we could do that. So, well, I'm going to stop it right there, as I'm kind of going down rabbit holes. So, but that's it. Again, check out the Michigan Renaissance Festival this summer/fall. And I will see you all on the next one, next Trade Tuesday. Take care. Be good, or be good at it.
The thoughts and views expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and do not reflect the official policy or position of Metro Trading Association. Although the host is an employee of Metro Trading Association, this podcast is intended to educate entrepreneurs on the benefits of professional trading regardless of their location. Additionally, the host reviews various pieces of camping gear due to the Association of Trade, Barter, and Prepping.